With every new season of a Star Wars TV show, I like to go through and make some predictions on the fates of the characters. So, the way this works is for every character in the Bad Batch Season 3, or at least the main characters, I'm going to be going through and giving them a score from 1 to 5. 1 meaning I think they are definitely or almost definitely going to be surviving the season. 5 meaning that by the end of the season, they will be dead or at least believed to be dead by the audience. So, the way this also works is for every point that I'm off, I will be donating $5 towards the Ottawa Food Bank. So let's say I give a character a 3, then whether they survive or not, that still means that I'm donating $10 to the food bank. If I give a character a 1, meaning I think they're going to live and then they die, that means I'm 4 points off, and that's $20 for that character towards the food bank donation. Just a kind of way to turn some predictions into some fun and also have a bit more of a point to it. But first off, I think the character that I am safest in putting at a 1 is going to be Wrecker. I think Wrecker will hopefully get some more of his story explored. But I think if anyone's going to be, if I had to pick like one, they're definitely not going to kill it character. I think that that character would be Wrecker for me. But on the flip side, I think a character that if I had to pick one who I thought was going to die the most, my first 5 here is actually going to be Hunter. So Hunter's role in the group as a leader and as Omega's protector, I feel like that's the one where his arc might make the most sense coming to a close with his death at the end of the final season of the Bad Batch, which this is. So for that reason, if I'm going to put anyone at 5, I think Hunter is going to be my 5. But moving from him to Echo, I think Echo's another pretty safe one to live. We already have seen in season 2 that Echo has kind of found where he thinks he can make the most difference, and that's more actively fighting alongside the other clones in what is kind of a smaller but growing clone rebellion, essentially, which is not a great way if you want to live long term under the Empire, being involved in a pretty consistent armed resistance like we've seen them doing. But I still think that Echo is going to be okay coming out of season 3, and he's someone who I hope gets a bit more exploration in the season. I don't know if we can safely rely on him getting more than a couple appearances, but that wouldn't even really be that far off from how much of a role he's had in season 2, especially. But yeah, so Echo is going to be another one for me. Crosshair, I think, is one of the more interesting ones because, and I did a standalone video on this, so I won't go too long about it. But Crosshair's redemption story in Star Wars usually ends with a self sacrifice, especially if he was doing that in order to save Omega or his brothers. And while I really hope they don't go that direction, my fear is that they will. So I really don't know where to go with Crosshair on this. I think I'm going to put him at a 3. I really can't call it one way or the other with him. Tech, on the other hand, ever since he fell off that car in season 2, I've been on the Tech lives train, uh, and I think like being kind of serious about it. I do think the fact that they show Hemlock finding the goggles points towards there is still more to tell with Tech's story, and they weren't just throwing that in for nothing. But it would be it would be disingenuous of me to be on jokingly or not on the Tech lives train that hard and to put Tech at anything other than a 1. And that brings us to our final member of the Bad Batch itself. We have Omega. So Omega, we can pretty safely say she's going to live. So I guess I'm technically putting her at 1, but I think my real bet with Omega is going to be $10 on whether or not she turns out to have some sort of force sensitivity. So I think that Omega, by the end of this season, she will be revealed to have some sort of force powers, whether through being told that she'd exhibited that or actually using the force in some way. So that's where my bet's going to be placed with Omega. There are still a couple other characters I'd like to talk about, though, outside of the main Bad Batch. We have, of course, Fee, who has been hanging out with them seemingly since season 2 with her connection with Tech. I don't think there's any real risk of Fee dying. I mean, actually, now that I think of it, I hope not, but maybe. So I think I'm going to put Fee at a 2. So she's going to be my first 2 here. I don't think anything bad is going to happen to her, but just just to hedge a little bit, I am going to put her at a 2. Sid is the other character, and I'm going to take the opposite approach with Sid. I think she's going to be a 4. I feel like if any of their secondary characters are really going to die, then Sid, who's betrayed them, might get caught up in the middle of some conflicts between them and the Empire, and kind of the comeuppance of that is going to be that she dies from that. I don't think it'll be the Bad Batch themselves who end up killing her. I think she'd die to the Empire in the process of further betraying the Bad Batch. Maybe that's a bit too much of a called shot, but I think if I had to pick a specific fate for her right now, then that's where I'm going to go with that. And finally, we have Asajj Ventress, who has just been revealed to be alive in the trailer after her death in Dark Disciple. But even in that book, I don't think it was such a clear death that there seemed to be some resurrection magic already underway at the end of the book. If you've read it, at least that's my read of it. But I don't think they're bringing her back just to kill her now. I actually think if any character is very likely to be moved into live action after this, with the Night Sister story coming alongside Thrawn, I think that Ventress would be a great bet there. So I'm going to be putting Ventress at a 1 as well. And those are my predictions for the Bad Batch Season 3. Hope you've all enjoyed that. And just remember, speculation is always just for fun. So let me know in the comments what your scores for these characters would be from 1 to 5. And we'll see how we all line up at the end of the season. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the season and hope you enjoyed the video. Bye, everyone.